Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to my Sports Talk channel. I'm Jensen Young and I want to say thank you for clicking on my channel. Today, we'll be looking at 5 potential trades that would shake up the NBA landscape. Let's take a look. Number 1. Kevin Love to the Miami Heat. Kevin Love has been in trade talks for a year now. It's time to find a new home for him. The Heat are shocking the league with how well they've been performing with no superstars. The Heat are doing this through good team chemistry and the perfect pairing of players with other players to match each need. One thing they lack is championship experience. The Heat have a very young team with no championship experience outside of Udonis Haslem. Trading for Kevin Love would not only give the Heat some much needed championship experience, but would also bring some more size and rebounding to the team. The trade I have happening is Kevin Love and Dean Wade for James Johnson and Kelly Olynyk. Now, as much as the Heat probably wouldn't want to trade Kelly Olynyk and James Johnson, they may have to because of Kevin Love's large contract. Receiving Kelly Olynyk and James Johnson would bode well for the Cavs as they would get out of their contracts by the 2021 offseason rather than 4 more years of Kevin Love's contract. Olynyk and Johnson are also 2 good veterans who could teach the Cavs young frontcourt players like Larry Nance Jr. and future ones to come. James Johnson could teach toughness and defense, while Kelly Olynyk could teach offensive skills. Receiving Kevin Love and Dean Wade would benefit the Heat because Kevin Love is a dominant rebounder, an effective three-point shooter with a good passing ability on top of it. Kevin Love is known to be a bit lacking on the defensive side of the ball, but so is Kelly Olynyk. The Heat are also in the lower half of the league in terms of rebounding, so Kevin Love's 10.2 rebounds a game would definitely help them climb the rankings and out-rebound more teams. Dean Wade is also a good asset because he has a similar build and play style to that of Kevin Love. He's a big man with a good three-point shot and decent rebounding skills on top of it. Number 2. Chris Paul to the Miami Heat. Maybe as important as rebounding, the Heat need a playmaker and a go-to player that can bring the ball up the court. Chris Paul has been among the best facilitators in NBA history for much of his career, and the Miami Heat could definitely use that skill set. Unfortunately, Chris Paul comes at a steep price. Literally. The Heat would need to trade a bunch of players with large contracts to match the salary of Chris Paul, some of which may mean a lot to the Heat organization. But being in the number 2 seed means the Heat are ready to compete for a title, and Chris Paul would definitely help them do so. Chris Paul is the facilitator that the Heat need. While he's on the court, about 30% of his team's baskets come off of Paul's passing. The Heat are also in the bottom half of the league when it comes to free throw percentage, and with Chris Paul being a high 80s free throw shooter, the Heat will have a go-to player in late game situations that they can depend on. While Chris Paul is getting up there in age, Goran Dragic and James Johnson aren't getting any younger themselves. Trading those two and Dion Waiters, who's having a great bounce-back season, making his trade value higher, will allow for more touches to the Heat's great young players like Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, and Kendrick Nunn. Now, despite performing way past anyone's expectations, the Thunder are not competing for a title this season, so getting contracts that end sooner than Chris Paul's will allow them to fully embrace their rebuild that is already going pretty strong. Sam Presti will require some future assets in this trade, but with the Heat being in such a strong position to win it all this season, and with Erik Spoelstra being a Coach of the Year candidate, Pat Riley may be willing to give up the team's future couple of picks for another championship ring. Number 3. Andre Drummond to the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks is a very impressive team that is in a borderline championship contending position. One thing the team lacks, however, is an old-school big man presence. Andre Drummond is both a strong physical center, and he has been in trade talks for multiple teams. With a core of MVP-level Luka Doncic, a one-of-a-kind player in Kristaps, and Tim Hardaway Jr. having his most efficient season to date, the Mavericks are shocking the league by being only 2.5 games back from the 2nd seed in the West and contending for the finals. Now what they need is a traditional big man in the paint. Courtney Lee is expendable and can be traded to make the salaries work out, and DeLon Wright is a quality bench piece with a good jump shot. The Mavericks would probably have to throw in a couple of picks, but doing so would allow them to be a serious title contender for years to come. Andre Drummond would help the Mavericks with his league-leading 15.7 rebounds a game and his stellar defensive presence, notching 2.1 steals and 1.8 blocks a game. This trade would free up minutes in a clogged backcourt for guys like JJ Barea and Jalen Brunson, whose minutes have been limited this season. This would leave the Mavericks with a starting lineup that would most likely look like Luka, Hardaway Jr., Finney-Smith, Porzingis, and Drummond, sliding Dwight Powell to the bench center position. For the Pistons, this would start their inevitable team blow-up. They would receive an expiring deal in Courtney Lee, and a quality bench piece and a friendly contract in DeLon Wright that they can depend on for a few years while they search for a new identity. Number 4. Alec Burks to the Boston Celtics. The Warriors need bigs, and Ojale is a young athletic big who is already taking a lot of three-pointers, which is the Warriors' style of play. Semi is young, so if he gets jump shot help from Klay Thompson, he could be a valuable bench piece or a fringe starter for the Warriors next season. The Celtics do currently have Romeo Langford, but he isn't as good or ready for championship play as Alec Burks is right now. Alec Burks is currently averaging a career-high 16.2 points, 3.2 assists, and 1.1 steals per game. His efficiency has dropped slightly, but that is probably due to him being a go-to scorer and having a lot of defensive focus on himself. Number 5. Aaron Gordon for CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum and Aaron Gordon both need a change of scenery. Thankfully for these two, the others team is in need of what they bring to the table. The Orlando Magic have a top 5 defense in the league with the 5th most blocks, 3rd most steals, and the least amount of fouls committed. However, despite Evan Fournier having the best scoring numbers of his career and Vucevic continuing to play at a very high level, the Magic are second to last in points per game. CJ McCollum can bring the high-level scoring the Magic need, and he can be the Magic's number 1 option and allow Evan Fournier to take more efficient shots. As he is shooting 37.8% from three-point range this season, CJ will also help the Magic's 5th worst three-point percentage. After making the Western Conference Finals just last season, the Portland Trail Blazers are underperforming and sitting at the 10th seed in the West. Aaron Gordon is having a bit of a down year, but many people think he just needs a change of scenery, as his role on the Orlando Magic has diminished with the rise of Evan Fournier's scoring and Jonathan Isaac's defensive prowess. Aaron Gordon would be a great player for the Trailblazers, as he is a great off-ball player, meaning he doesn't need the ball in his hands to make plays. This is evidenced by his statistic of 85.7% of his three-pointers made coming off an assist, and 58% of his total field goals made coming from an assist. Aaron Gordon would also improve the Trailblazers' wing defense, as Aaron Gordon is a versatile 6'8" forward. Trading away CJ would also open up the backcourt for Anthony Simons, a young promising guard with a high potential for being a great scorer. And that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please let me know by clicking the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. If there's any trades I didn't mention that you think would shake up the NBA, leave a comment below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your day.